Good morning. Boy, do we have the high consciousness, high frequency group here today. And the angel is here too, so you know what that means. Shh. Okay, so I'm meeting Ed, Angel Ed. So thank you so much for all of you who dressed up, showed up today, but not only today, we're here to celebrate a thank you to so many of you for being part of Ed's journey, particularly in the last year of his life. People came out of the woodwork, but there are people that were part of his childhood, part of his adulthood, you know, the whole journey. And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to celebrate the whole journey. And I'm grateful that I have this wonderful place to honor him in, and you guys filling it up with celebration. So we're going to start with just a piece of music, and then the official videoing will begin after the piece of music. Okay, so if you would listen quietly to the lyrics, because this is a piece of music that Ed would be a little more philosophically inclined to. Ed loved the Beatles, and he had every album, he told me, that he could ever get his hands on of the Beatles. But this particular song was very much about Ed's philosophy of life. He didn't care if somebody was from this country or that country or this religion or that religion. Ed just saw people as people. And so that always inspired me, and that's why the song opens up for the ceremony. So, number one, welcome. We have people here from Ed's family, all the way from Boston and Idaho. We have people who were Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Bristol Farms, I mean, wherever we were, neighbors who came out of the woodwork, carpooled. I know more people are scheduled to come, so hopefully they will be here. We have people that almost in every aspect of our living were willing to come here today. Friends of friends, you know, just collected. So I hope that you're going to enjoy this this entire presentation of celebrating his life. I just want to introduce to you our video producer is a former Emmy-nominated Stephon Litwinczuk, and he's the one that actually worked diligently with me on the slideshow, and he's videoing us today. He also had a documentary of 7 years on a homeless man called Falling Up Documentary. That homeless man is in the music video of Queen of the World, and you'll see a snippet of that later on. Okay. So thanks to each and all of you. If I missed anybody, let me know. But we're going to get started here. So, oh, there he is. That's this little 3-month-old angel. Now, I was fortunate. Now, actually, I thought, how am I going to do this? Well, Ed had told me lots of stories about his life over the last, 13 years, because the half a year, we were 13 and a half years, but that was when he had his brain cancer. So, but all up to that point, there were so many stories that when I went through his picture box, I was able to coordinate a lot of those photos to the stories. So then I realized, well, that's good then, I can do this, it's doable. And I did some reality checks with some people. Now, what was I gonna say about, oh yeah, so and then he had a big trunk, and I had to dismantle the stereo to get it out, and pulled out his baby book. Well, gosh, that was great. It was a little treasure because it gave me the first pictures, and it gave me a little bit of fun information about him too. So here we go. Now, Ed was born and raised in Payette, Idaho. There was no hospital for women to give birth. So guess what they had to do? They had to go across the Snake River over into Ontario, Oregon, to, I believe it was Holy Rosary Hospital, and give birth. So they had a birth certificate in one state and were raised in another. But it's a beautiful area down there, and I'm going to be back there in September for Ed's 55th class reunion. And I'm very glad that I get to be there. Okay, here we go. Now, I love this picture. Look at how tiny he is. I think he's only 6 weeks. But that's his father and his 2 brothers. And the older brother, he has passed away since 12 years ago. But he looks like he's a little more, I'm the older brother. And the middle brother's like, oh my, I got a baby brother. I think that's really cute. This is a picture of his mother. She was kind of a Snow White type, you know, with the blue eyes and dark hair. And that was his baptismal day. There he is on the beach. He looks like a happy camper, and he was starting to talk. That's a year old. Now, his first word when I read it in his baby book was certainly not what we would expect from any baby. Well, maybe not. But his mother put it phonetically. She put it Titi, Titi, and then she put kitty. So the cat, I guess, got his first you know, pronunciation, and then Mom and Dad came a couple months later. So, and then if anybody knows Ed, he loves cats. So that was kind of interesting. That's a little 2-year-old picture there with this little horsey. And by the way, you know what's good about the old pictures? They usually give you the date, not the date, but the month and the year. Now, Patty or Eric, is that Grandma Boyer?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Great, thank you very much. So there he is with his mother's mom. And he had a harness on, so I guess he was pretty active. And on the back of the photo, it does says Ed with harness. So I'm like, okay, okay, guess we needed to know that. Okay, and then this is an interesting story. This is the one picture that Ed had on his bookcase all the time that I was, you know, even to this day. But he told me, he said, I have a story about that. He said, my brothers were Cub Scouts. And he was, you know, Ed was 4 years younger than Eric and 6 years younger than David. But he went to his mother and he said, I want to be dressed like they are. God, I want that what they have. So his mother, I don't know if she actually made that or not, because she majored in home economics. But I don't know if she, but whatever, she made that little outfit, and they took a nice little portrait and a beautiful little frame. And that's something that he's always loved. But I thought it was interesting that he would go to his mom and say, you know, I want to be outfitted like that. Why not at age 4? All right, he's first, his little kindergarten first day at school. And now that's it we have for his early childhood. Okay, now, when he was a teenager, and he wasn't quite here yet, but he inherited a paper route. And the reason we're showing the dog is that Ed always had all these fun stories. And Eric, is that the other grandma?
Yeah.
Grandma Pence, okay, good. All right, so this dog followed actually Eric all the way home from school. And so they adopted him and they called him Blackjack. Well, one day Ed was on the paper route that he inherited from the 2 brothers. And okay, you know, Blackjack always followed along. No problem, until a cop walked up to Ed and handed him a citation. And Ed's thinking, oh my God, what did I do, you know? So he takes it home and it says, dog at large. So I guess the family didn't realize that there was a leash law put in effect recently. And so Ed and I joke about that, or we would joke about that, and every time we'd see dogs running, we'd say they're at large. You know? So, yeah, we thought that was pretty funny. And then I had this picture in my mind of a wanted poster with Blackjack's face saying, dog at large, call Payette Police if you see him, you know. So anyway, but now we're going on to his junior high. He had an uncle named Len Casanova. I think he was married to a Pence, correct? Yeah. Ed's one of Ed's aunts. And it was a real honor to be able to come to this summer camp for boys up in Oregon, University of Oregon. And you notice that it was like, I guess, 2 weeks, or almost 2 weeks. But Ed was one of those who was honored to go there. And this is a pic, I found this in the trunk as well. So he was, I'm glad I was able to show this picture. Okay, pardon, yes, Patty. Pat.
Did you know Casanova was our uncle? And
Yeah.
he was the coach emeritus of the Ducks in Oregon.
Oh, that's right. Thank you, Pat. That's right. He was the coach emeritus of the Ducks of Oregon. Thank you. You know, see, I asked them, I paid them to pitch in. No, I'm just joking. They're going, okay, we'll find you afterwards. No, I'm just joking. But no, thank you very much. That's exactly what I need, is for you guys to help me with that. Okay, and I knew I can't remember all these details, and so I need those coming into, yeah, that's true. He was quite a prominent man. And this, oh, great. I appreciate that. Okay. Now, this is a family picture that I wanted to make sure I kind of put up here. Eric, I'm kind of thinking that, is he a senior and you're a junior and he's, it looks kind of similar. I mean, you know, you're both in high school, I think, and he's probably junior high. But I love the picture. It's a great family picture. You can see how beautiful his mother is here. She was absolutely, and his dad was very handsome. They're all very good looking family, but it's a good picture of kind of his junior high look. And, there he is. Guess what he's got in his hand? Yep, and I don't know if it's his 16th birthday or what it was, but you know, if you got to pose for the picture, you got to get the cat. So, now I love this picture. Ed had a large picture of his graduation, again, next to the other one, the little 4-year-old. I mean, if I was in high school, I'd be like, but anyway, I'm already that way, and I'm grateful because, but I know it says some really funky things, which I don't even know what that meant. You know how high schoolers are. Edward Bigfoot with rabies, I have no idea what that's all about, but that's, you know. But look at all the activities that he was in, and what they do is they put oops, I'm sorry, they put the years that you were doing it, and then they also put whether you were an officer. So he was very, very active all the way through high school. And at the bottom, it does say that, well, not the full bottom, but he was voted the most talented. And I don't know where that said it, but I did read it somewhere. So that's out of 100 students. So he was, you know, everything from golf to skiing to football to the band to honor choir. I mean, high school reporting, it's a lot. Boys State, that's a lot. Okay, so there he goes. Don't want to take that picture away, but there we go. Okay, now I believe he's on his way to college here, but I don't even know if anybody has feedback on that. But that's about that look that he had at that time. Oh, there he is. Okay, now, Ed went to the University of Idaho because his parents met there. But he got to do an exchange program in Alabama, the University of Alabama. And he had a lot of interesting insights down there. Because, of course, it's a different culture. First of all, Idaho's a different culture from Southern California. It's a different culture from the South. So there he is telling me that you had to go to every football game because you had to chant that "Roll Tide Roll," you know, and you had to be down there. And not only that, they always asked you, do you have a date? Do you have a date? You had to get a date, okay? So there were all these different protocols that he had to learn while he was in his year down there. He also Ed was very passionate about travel because his major was radio and television, and his minor was geography. So because he was very passionate about travel and always wanting to see places, he went over to Mardi Gras from there. And he went to Bessemer to see the steel mills. You know, he really made the most of his time down there. So it was a very good experience for him, and there he is in the middle, you know, with the Bama shirt on. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so this is a picture of what I believe is Electric Ed. Who was Electric? He was had a little radio program when he was in the Bay Area. So after he left college, he ended up in the Bay Area with a relative, I think living in Menlo Park or one of those places, and looking for work. So he met this character named Steve O'Brien, or Brian Stevens, who started an internet radio in his parents' garage. And it's going to this day, going strong, and it's on donation only. And I'll be playing it, I'll be hooking my phone in the reception room, and that will be our music. But so Ed loved the new synthesized music at that time, which was back in the late 70s, early 80s. And so he, because he loved it so much, and he had the background in radio and television, he was able to, he was, I guess, hired or whatever to do this program. This is a sign-off.
Now KXAP concludes today's portion of its broadcast schedule. KXAP operates on a cable frequency of 93.1 megahertz, channel 226, with an F3 type transmission. We hope you have enjoyed today's broadcast and invite you to listen tomorrow for our next one. I would like for our staff and management to wish you a prosperous and pleasant day. This is KXAP in the Belmont Hills, now signing off.
There he is. Yes. All right, so that's, I thought that was really, I was very grateful that Steve allowed me to, I've had to get permissions for some of these things. So that's his first major kind of breakthrough, if you will. Okay, now that's the only picture I have of the most facial hair, and I just had to show it. But he looks kind of like a hippie there. But, but I just thought, what the heck. So, okay, here, now, Pat is here. Pat is a veterinarian from Nampa, Idaho. She's Ed's cousin. And she did this photo shoot of him. Pat, not only is she a veterinarian, but she studied with Ansel Adams. She studied photography with him. And and she also now does photojournalism over in Nepal. She takes her trips over there. And and I'm always anxious to see what's been going on there. So these four are a photo shoot that I came across that really show, first of all, her expertise, but also Ed's expression. And he could be very expressive. I know we kind of see Ed as kind of a quiet guy, but actually he was very, very gifted. Here we go. There's another one. Oh yeah, excuse us, but we have to have the cat, right? Okay, but but he's very photogenic too. Okay. And then I guess she's trying to get him to be a drummer here. So that's pretty good that he got the expression. Yeah. Okay, now, and then Pat, do you have anything to say about this photo shoot at all?
Oh yeah, I'm sitting at my drum set.
Oh, I didn't know you had
I
it.
visit me in Santa Barbara, and that's my drum set.
Oh my gosh.
I was in a garage band at the time.
Look at you. What else do we need to know about you? Oh my God, that's amazing, Pat. Oh, cool. Okay. Well, yeah. And guess what? There they are. There's Pat and Ed. And I love that picture. And actually, when I first met Pat, I really resonated with her, but I always felt that she and Ed looked more like siblings than Ed looked like his own siblings in a way. She looked more like a sibling than a cousin, but anyway. Okay, so now I'm going into a different way of presenting Ed. So we've kind of gone somewhat chronological, but because I wasn't really sure where some of this fit, I'm just doing attributes of Ed. So this we have Uncle Ed here, and there he is with two of his nephews from his, one was from one brother and one's from the other. And I think that's pretty cute. And then, now are you ready for this one? Grandpa gets the kids. Guess who gets the cat? Okay. So there's another one added, another little niece. Now there's another one with him. No, this is kind of segueing into another aspect of Ed, but it's also still Uncle Ed because, is that Heather? I think that's the back of her head, but I think that's her. And I don't know where that ice skating rink would be. I don't know if it's in Rockefeller Center or where that is, but it's quite a prominent ice skating outdoor rink. But there he is. So now we segue into athletic Ed. And he's a Renaissance man. He totally is a Renaissance man. And I discovered a lot of this just, well, sadly after he passed, but at least I discovered it. Okay, Eric, it looks like the three of you are sailing. It looks like it because I see the three of you there. Huh?
It looks like it.
Yeah, where did you guys sail?
New England.
That was Hingham Harbor.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. That's what I.
Probably putting the boat in the water.
That's what I thought it had to be in Hingham. It couldn't be anywhere else. Yeah, and that's where they're from Hingham, Massachusetts, which is right. It's next to Boston. And then Ed was water skiing. The picture of him water skiing, he was too much of a little tiny speck, so you wouldn't. But he had just finished his water skiing, and so you see already a whole bunch of sports here. And I'm jealous because. But you know what? He's going to help me. He's going to help me do all that stuff. My angel is going to set it all up. Now, one of his favorite things was skiing. And let's see, I think he has a Telluride hat on from Colorado. But he joined a ski club when he was working, and they went all over. They went, of course, to Colorado, Idaho, of course, up Mammoth are locals too. But he loved it. It was something that he absolutely loved. Okay, but somebody made a beautiful quilt that had him skiing on. It was a patchwork. I think it was the grandchildren, his nieces and nephews. Yeah, you're shaking, yeah. It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it showed a picture.
He drew the picture himself when we made patches for his parents' 50th anniversary. And we each did a self-portrait. And he did himself skiing.
That's right. Thank you. You guys are refreshing a lot of these memories because it's been, that was an amazing project that you guys did for them, and that he actually drew that. Okay, but I was very impressed with that project, and thank you very much, you guys. What better way to really honor somebody's 50th anniversary, really? Okay. And there he is getting ready. He's at a place called Bogus Basin. He did take me up there one year when we were caregiving our three elders, and that's later. Okay, but look at the background. It's really beautiful. All right, now there he's horse riding. Mr. Ed is on Mr. Ed. So, and I didn't even know he ever got on a horse, but there I have found a picture. And there he is feeding a horsey. Okay. Now, we're going on to Traveling Ed. So Traveling Ed, this was one of his first times that he and his family kind of, I guess, went around California and back, but that's his mother. And I think that's San Francisco Bay Area, probably the Golden Gate. Now, he told me that in one of his places that he lived, that he had maps. They were covering all the walls. And he, with marker, drew all the routes of the places he went. Because, he had been so many places with his family, actually, mainly his mother and father, but even other families members of family when they visited. So there he is. amongst his travels. So there's a picture of he and his mother. I don't know exactly where this is, but I tried to pick like 4 places in the country. There's the Mississippi River with his dad. Of course, we recognize Mount Rushmore. And the Capitol. Then there's let's see, Eric, that's David, right? Yes, David and the dad. Okay. Oh yeah, and of course, our own Half Dome or whatever that is. Now we go to working Ed. So he started out in a company, kind of, actually up in North, but they had a union thing. They had a big walkout. And Ed thought, I'm tired of waiting. So he had a friend down in Southern California in Silver Lake, and the guy said, yeah, come on down. So Ed got a job down here. Now this is later when he's actually in our area here. This was what Time Warner took over, Cablevision's Industries. And he started out in one of the little vans. There he is, that's actually him, what he was doing. He would work, he would be on the poles and fixing them. He would be crawling under houses. He had to, the poles, he told me, you guys see the little slats that people have to walk on? Well, guess what? He told me that some of the poles don't even have those. And they have these hooks that they have to put on their bottom of their shoes to hook into the wood. And I'm like, good God. I was like, Ed, my gosh. I was holding I think, how, I said, that's dangerous. And he said, yeah, it is. It was a very demanding occupation. There he is down in the, having to check out circuits and stuff. It's can be intense, but it's a great job. Oh wait, now, West Hills Hospital, they had something going, I guess that they had to hook up something because of how high it was for the signal. So they were placed in different parts. And Ed was in a part that he did not realize that there was going to be a drop into a stairwell. So he thought, oh good, while I'm waiting, I'll just get the binoculars out and oh my God, look at this. He stepped into that and he went down all the way a floor and his foot hit the wall. So he was injured. He opted not for surgery, but he should have. But anyway, there he is recovering, and he couldn't ski after that, which is unfortunate. But yeah, boy, got to be careful. All right, now there's a story about his bicycle. He told me that he actually rode his bike to work every day for a while and back. And then he showed me this really amazing, on the Google Earth, all these ways that he avoided intersections. So he could just cruise through alleys and sidewalks. And the guy was always thinking of like, how could he just really milk life and how could he do things faster and more productive? It was really amazing. But when I saw that, I was quite amazed at how he figured that out between like kind of West Hills Hospital area over to where Time Warner was, which is like, for people who are familiar, Nordhoff and Topanga, kind of. But that was quite amazing. But he loved riding a bike too. That's right, that's part of the athletic thing too. Okay, there. Now, that was one of his nicknames. So he had Electric Ed, he had Mr. Ed, he had Fast Eddie, because he was known to do things fast. And I'll tell you, living with him for 13 years that he wasn't in the hospital, he had fast down to a science and a fine art. And I couldn't keep up, but that's okay. But that's all right. He really, it was quite amazing to see how he did that. But I'm glad he found his restaurant or whatever that was, like a, I don't know, a convenience store. I don't even know where that is. Now, afterwards, they partied. And he told me that. He said that after, and I'm amazed that I found this picture, but there he is holding the pitcher, ready to pour. But he said that after work, because it was so intense, that they would all go to, I think it was a place called Flaky Jake's. And it was over where their company was for a while. So they would just all get together and, just have cold ones and chill out. after a hard day's work. But I love this picture. I think it's whoever took it really captured a good moment. Now, Ed now this is the celebrity Ed. Who does he remind you of anybody there? And you have to be probably a little older to think about who maybe he reminds you a little bit of. And Stephon didn't quite get that when we were putting it together because he's younger. I thought he looked a little like, at a time, Jim Morrison.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay, good. All right. Ding, 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 Heather. Oh, who was? Okay, good. You guys share the prize. No. Right on. Yeah, I thought so too. In fact, I kept looking at some of these pictures like, who does he remind me of? Okay. Yeah, and look at this, such a classic picture. It's really like an old gas station or something. And Pat, you didn't take that, right? Okay. But it's quite, I really love what was captured there. Now, I think a lot of you are going to get this one, because Stephon got this one. Who does he remind you there?
Freddie Mercury.
Yep. Oh, yay. I think most of you got that. I know, when I saw that, I thought, oh, he's got a picture of Freddie Mercury, you know. But nope, that's Eddie. And I think Freddie Eddie. I think at that time he just got into the style. And so he very much looked like him there. See, he looks like him there too. So, and there's his dad and there's Eric. I hope I'm not fiddling with that too much. Okay, so I think they're in an airport or so. Yeah, they are. Okay, all right. Now, this is all called Outrageous Ed. This is a group of photos that I looked on the back. This is supposed to be at the University of Alabama. But I guess they were doing some type of, I don't know, because he was a television and film person, or a television and radio person, they might have been doing some type of project. So I have no idea why he had that on his face or whatever, but he could be very expressive, very expressive. Now this, he's an earthquake survivor, okay? So this was one of those drills. So I just found it kind of interesting because there he is with all the, the gear on him and everything. And then this last one, you guys are really going to enjoy this one, I think. Now, who do you think he is for Halloween? I think I heard it.
Olivia Newton-John?
No, well, hardly. Ty, leave it to you. Okay, I think he was Prince. Prince. Because he's got this little black wig, a little you can't see it, that's why. He has this little black wig up here on there. So I think he's trying to be Prince, and look at the expression on his face. And guess when I saw that picture, I ran right into his closet and I said, okay, where is it? So I've been getting a lot of compliments on it. I love it. K-Rock. Okay, so let's see. I don't know where we're going next, but let's see what we are. Okay, now a lot of us don't know that he actually did wear glasses at times, and he actually had a mustache for at least a decade or two. But he didn't have it when I met him. But yeah, he would. There's so many pictures of him with a mustache, and it was kind of a classic look that he had. But there he is. That's how he would look at home, except without the mustache. But he had his glasses on when he would do computer work. But there he is. All right. Now, then there's another picture of him as a mustached person. Now, this will be a little more chronological again because my close friends Gail and Larry they were always very supportive of me, and even to this day. Sadly, Larry, we had this life celebration here not quite 3 years ago or 4, I'm trying to remember. But Gail's still here, thank God, and but it was right here. But there's Larry. Larry's standing up behind there, and then an elderly man named Stuart just happened to be this little Thanksgiving celebration that Ed invited me over to. They used to talk about Ed because he was the neighbor, okay? Well, in my mind, having parents from Ohio and rural Ohio, if you say the name Ed, and it was kind of a German area, but whatever. If you say the name Ed, to me, in my mind, it's a stocky guy with sandy hair and Oshkosh bagoshes on, okay? So I walk in and there's this good-looking guy in a Time Warner uniform. And they introduce him as Ed. And I'm like, oh, that's Ed? So they sat me in the back, and that's when we met. But he told me that he used to see me coming to Gail's place down the driveway. So he actually was aware of me, but I was aware of him, but I never saw him. Okay, this is a great picture of actually Gail and Larry and Ed and I. Remember when they had that Carmageddon going on for the 405 freeway where they had to shut it down? That was a few years ago. So we decided to go celebrate Carmageddon. So we went over to the Calabasas Commons, and I'm grateful that we have this picture of the four of us. So, okay, the first Valentine Ed and I spent, Ed gave me this card. There's something about the energy of that card and those children that I told Ed, I said, that is us. That's us. I said, we are soulmates. Look at that. Where did you get that? I was so excited, and I have it to this day, and I will keep it till the end of my life. I love it. Okay, now, Ed and I, because his mother was getting up, was in a facility. My mother was in a facility. And then about a year later, my uncle was in a facility. We spent our vacations going to the facilities. Those were our vacations. We're caregiving. So we were working. But 2 times a year, Ed and I went to visit his lovely mother, Emmy. And there we are in her facility with her. And then we would, anyway, this is the best picture I could get of the threes. So we would go there and take care of her. And he would alternate with Eric. And I would alternate with my sister. No, he would also give me side trips while we were there. And we were at this resort in March, but it was snow. And we wanted to get in the jacuzzi, but we had to run out the door really fast in 20-degree weather and try to jump into a hot pool. That's why we're laughing so hard, because we were trying to get the picture. But we finally got it. But that's what we did. That's how we made good on our caregiving. Because if we were working all the time and just caregiving, it wouldn't really be very healthy. So that's what we would do. We would just get away a little bit each place. And so 4 times a year we were gone, alternating a week each with our siblings. And then we'd take a 3-day weekend 3 times to my uncle up in Los Banos. It's up above Fresno. Okay. Now my mother, I'm sitting there with my mother. We actually would, that's in Ohio. So his mother was in Boise. My mother was in a place called Norwalk, which is outside Cleveland. But this is a beautiful resort area. And so this was a field trip. In fact, Mom didn't want to go, right? So the bus was ready to pull out, and guess what? They go, whoa, wait a minute, somebody's getting on. Well, guess who it was? Mom. Yep, Mom just decided last minute she was going to go. So it was it was a bus trip, and then we got to have this boat ride. It was kind of a little mini Newport Beach, but it's Vermilion, Ohio, and it's on Lake Erie. That's what we would do. If we would try to go on her field trips if we could. But anything that we could do to enjoy. And there's Ed on the boat. And then the third person, This is a goofy picture, but I was glad I got to use it because the cousin with she's a cousin with the flowery dress. She just had a stroke 2 years ago, which is kind of sad. She's up in Fresno. And, but she would come over from Fresno to visit the elderly man is my uncle. He's a Catholic Monsignor. And we would go to his facility and visit. So my sister is a nun. That's who she is right there. And so when she would come, we would all go up and visit my uncle. And my uncle had the darndest sense of humor. At his funeral, then one of the priests said, he sure has an out-of-box sense of humor. I'm thinking, no kidding, Sherlock. But anyway, so that's us all gathered together just at one of the meals with him. And he looks pretty happy. I think we're all being pretty goofy. But then that wasn't a surprise for all of us. Okay, now, I told you about the character that ran that radio station. Ed took me up to San Francisco, and we got to meet him. There's Steve O'Brien, and this guy is so devoted to his radio station. I mean, he's pretty much there all the time, but he does have it automatically run if he needs to go shopping or different things. So it's quite amazing. That he would be that devoted that many years. This was taken, I love this picture, it was taken in Ghirardelli Square by a person who actually was a professional photographer that just happened to be going by. So he took that, and that was when after we had visited over there. Now this is some of our early travels, of course, the White House. Okay, every year Time Warner had a party for Christmas, and they had it on Air Force One at the Reagan Library. I mean, in that building. So Ed and I were getting ready to go there, and it was a lot of fun. We even got to have our picture taken there, but it was a really big bash. They had all kinds of food all over the place, and but the new company is a bunch of Scrooges. They don't even do anything like that anymore. Spectrum doesn't, or Charter. Okay, here we go. This year, 2015 was a busy year. There's Ed being interviewed by ABC 7 Eyewitness News. That's Leo Stallworth, you could do the back. And one of his coworkers took that picture. I had the absolute fortune, but then Ed's my angel, and you wouldn't believe the stuff he does with me and for me. I tried to get through to ABC 7 the way I was supposed to, and I thought, the heck with it. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to just send it like it's a news item. I'm going to send this picture and say, hey, this is this date, this what happened, and da-da-da-da-da. May I please have the footage from that interview? It appeared in my email less than 24 hours. I was shocked, but it's here. Now we can play it, but the thing is it will not be, he has to edit it out because it only has a public viewing of, I think it's going to end the middle of July because I got it early. So, but here it comes. Are you ready for it? It's going to go fast. And then remember, this is an impromptu interview. I love it. Tell it like it is. These idiots, yes. That's exactly what they are. Anyway. And we know Ed's a gentleman, right? But, I mean, call a spade a spade. That was the one right over here on Plummer. Right here. Where those people were killed. Where the person careened out and someone was killed. So of course Ed's going to say what he did. But anyway, so I was really proud of him. But yeah, I really was, I thought it was very cool that he got to do that. These are the people that I'll be seeing, but a bunch of them have passed away. And that's in his class reunion. But they're very sad that Ed passed. But they want me to be there in his place. So I will be there. And Ed's right in the kind of in the middle with a plaid shirt, kind of next to a guy in green. Okay. And then more was happening that year. Okay, that's me at the Snake River. It's so beautiful there. Lot going on. So, do you recognize Stephon? There he is, wearing a nice pink hat. This is the music video shooting that year of Queen of the World music video. Ed was a production assistant to Stephon. Now, Ed also was the one that suggested the location, and that just happened to be Woodley Park. I don't know if you guys know where that is, but you know where Lake Balboa is? Okay, well, it's just another street over on Woodley. And there are Japanese gardens and other things over there too. So, in fact, after we filmed the video, Ed now referred to Woodley Park as Queen of the World Park. So every time we'd go by it, he'd say, there's Queen of the World Park. But there we are, and there's the homeless man that I told you about. Okay, he came back to like normal life toward the end of Ed's visiting Union Station after 7 years. And I told Stephon, I said, look, I told him I needed homeless people or someone to portray it. And he said, well, I know exactly the person. So we had Johnny grow all his hair back out for the beginning of the video, and then at the end, he got all shaven. And so that's a photo of us. And now we have a clip that we took from the music video. Now, it's going to go really fast because it just basically says, here we are, the men of the world, and then it's on to the women. So if you blink, you won't see Ed. So here it comes.
Here we are, the men of the world, and the women too.
Here we are, the kings of the world, and we're coming through. We will walking through the crowd, choosing with our mind and our heart, making sure that everyone wins in a world of integrity.
There we go. Okay. So that's, and then Frank is here. Frank is here, and Frank's the one in the middle. So all this was happening in 2015. It was a very, very busy year. Okay, talk about cats. These cats decided to give Ed some payback. They decided to investigate and check out his bucket truck to make sure everything was fine. I guess everything was okay. Then his brother decided to check out the underside. Can you see him all stretched out? In fact, Stephon said he looks like he's saying, hand me a wrench. And then there's the third one, the mom. So yep, you know, all right. I started laughing when the cat was staring at me. Ed loved California's gold. And so we went when Hugh Hauser passed away, he gave everything to Chapman University. So we went down to the Hugh Hauser exhibit for his birthday. So that's where we are here. The California's gold, you know. Now this is also, Ed was a big Raiders fan. I don't know how many of you guys have ever heard of a program called Red Zone on cable? Okay. On Red Zone, you can see, okay, what they do is, it blows my mind. You have 8 football games going on. And they are highlighting, you know, they just keep highlighting. And you're like, okay, so you see, okay, these people are doing this, okay, these people are doing this, okay, these people are doing this. I'm thinking, how in the world can they do that fast? But they do it. So I've loved Red Zone. I was watching it up. In fact, I was thinking when I changed the cable, you know, listings, and I thought, no, I wouldn't. I want to watch Red Zone. So anyway, that's there's Ed. I love him. He's all done. He's all radored up there. I actually asked him if he'd do that, and so he went and did it. Also, too, when Alabama would play, I would say, where are your Bama socks? And he'd go, oh, that's right. And he'd run to the closet and pull them on. so, yeah, all right. Ed and I like to do a lot of things. We are, of course, looking at an eclipse, and that's just outside of our place, but you know, we figured why not just milk everything we can. Also, where we're standing, and this will come into play a little later. Mardi Gras, the Grove, we'd like to go to the Grove for Mardi Gras and St. Pat's. And there we are in New York, that's Central Park. And I'd never been to New York, so Ed was very instrumental in letting me kind of have a life. This is Bishop, California. My uncle, when he passed away, he was in the Fresno diocese. So he was of Los Banos. So his funeral was in Bakersfield. And this was during COVID. And then he was buried in Bishop. So it was kind of like, there was a lot going on. But that's where we were for that was a beautiful place because the creek, which I forget which creek that is, comes through there. Ed would videotape me in a way that I was the guy, you can stand still that long, you know, for 5 or 10 minutes. But during COVID, I had all these little video messages. And Ed would do that for me. And that's just one of the videos. Okay. So during COVID, what do you really do? How do you celebrate your birthday? Well, Ed and I were trying to time it so that we could have the cows looking at us. So unfortunately, Charlie Brown and Betty Boop, the cows, were eating when we got over there. So unfortunately, we couldn't see their faces. All we could see was their bums and their tails. But we did something kind of silly for his birthday. It's goofy, but then again, why not? Okay, Charlie, Betty, 1, 2, 3. Moo, 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 moo. Moo, 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 moo. Moo, 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 moo. Happy birthday to Ed.
Okay.
Happy 68, Betty. Oops, shh, you didn't hear that. All right, Charlie and Betty, we'll see you later. Okay, that's what people kind of start getting crazy in COVID do. Okay, so now I figured you might as well just throw that one in. Okay, now that is the end of this particular segment. So this next part will be kind of a musical and then a little meditation because I need a little break myself. Okay, I would really appreciate it if people would not be rude and talk while this is going on. Everybody else was doing very fine and very respectful. But there was a group that was being very disrespectful, not just to me, but to the people here and to Ed. And quite frankly, I can't believe it. Well, no, I can actually. I can. You don't share that when something's going on like this. You just don't. Okay? All right, I'm sorry, but it's important for the respect for the rest of us. Thank the rest of you for being respectful. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, because I have to be up here and I have to enjoy and comfortable and not disrupted. Okay, now this will be, I still hear it too. This is a Tibetan bowl meditation that was actually made by Florence Riggs. She is a vocal coach to the people in the industry, and she is also board member of Spiritual Unity Movement. We have the board president here today, but she made this specifically to honor Ed. And see, that's the whole point, is honoring Ed, honoring him, reverencing him. So this is what she did, and she very artfully did it. Her daughter captured this for us. And then after that, we're just going to be in a little bit of a silence, just kind of thinking our higher good. Deep breath, because I have to calm myself down. Okay, here we go. So we'll just take a little minute of silence to think about Ed as our angel, to think about the highest good of ourselves here. So I just want to say thank you, God. Thank you, Creator, Source of all that is. Thank you for the people who really, truly have reverence. Thank you for the gift of Ed, the gift of him. He was a gift. We give thanks for the gift of these people here. We give thanks for the gift of life. We give thanks for the gift of you in through us, all of us, for our highest good. So after Ed passed away, I suggested people do something creative and joyful to honor him. Instead of flowers or cards, or, you know, I'm fine flowers and cards, that's great. So I just, that's fine too. I will say that Trader Joe's, every time I would go in and say, how are you? Well, if I said that Ed passed away, I had to stop them from getting me another bouquet. So they were so gracious and generous. And not only that, I was in a Calabasas Trader Joe's, and because we have 4 people from West Hills Trader Joe's. We have people from, you know, like the other places too. But the maid or whatever she was at the cash register, and she said, well, if you don't want any more bouquets, she said, we have chocolate. So I said, we were all laughing. I said, ouch, twist my arm. So she went and got 3 of them and gave me a choice. Well, that was really thoughtful. Again, the generosity of so many people and their compassion from the heart, their true respect, their true reverence. That's really to be commended by so many of you. Thanks for being good role models. Okay, now, so we did receive some really beautiful, everything from precious stones to plants and framed pictures, and but there are, but we do have some descriptions, and I do have some tributes. So one, Matthew and Rachel are here. They had made how many attempts to videotape Matthew on his music instruments with their little, he just turned 2-year-old, doing a music jam for Ed. I know Ed really appreciated every time you guys do a jam. He's enjoying everything the 2 of you are doing. Thank you so much. Okay. I do have a couple of ones that I will highlight. This is the theme picture of Ed, and the picture is the last picture I captured of him before his first seizure. And June 30th, 2 days from today, was his first seizure that started the whole thing. You know, that started, that they had to find out what was going on, and it was his brain cancer. So that's amazing that here we are, like 2 days from that. But this was June 13th, and I was so grateful because he pulled the car out and was waiting for me to go to lunch with him. And I said, oh, Ed, I just love your pose. Can I take a picture? And he said, sure. So that's what happened. So that's the last picture I got of him alive. So anyway, one of our neighbors, Erica, who's here today, she had this amazing thing that she wanted to do. And I am going to play a little video. Our wonderful neighbor, Erica, did something absolutely extraordinary with the last picture of Ed ever taken before he had his first seizure and his brain cancer was discovered. This is a 3D cube that gives you an idea of Ed being alive, being there. And I am so blessed that she had found this, and she did this for me. And not only is it phenomenal in that 3D where you feel like he's standing right there, but the light that goes up to the ceiling almost looks like godly. It looks celestial. And I have such a deep, deep gratitude for being able to turn this on every single night and just feel Ed's presence in a very, very special way. Thank you, Ericus. I'm very grateful. Thank you, Ericus. She's here. Okay. And there's a picture of that light. Let's see. Okay. Now, this just showed up a couple days ago. And this, a family, a dad, a mother, and their little girl who's probably turning 6 today, has put this together. And the little girl did all the lines. That's what the mom told me. She called me up to tell me, look, we finally are getting this picture to you. So again, remember I said that people doing something creative and joyful, I just expected, I just thought, oh, people will just dance, or people will just sing, or people took it seriously, like Ericus and them, and the jamming. They actually did things, and I was just kind of blown away. So joyous freedom. Yes, Ed is free. He is free. He's in the infinite possibilities, and he's already, I'll tell you some interesting things about after he passed. Okay, let's see. Now, I'm going to go on to, the neighbors have told me how they miss him. They miss him pulling out his red car from the garage, which now isn't going to start, and I've got to, oh well. But they miss him. They miss him going around. He would pick up things. He would do things. They miss him so much. The happy, kind presence. That co-worker, Kippy, he said that, let me see. He said, oh no, I'm so sorry. He's a great guy. He broke me in as a cable technician years ago, and who would have known that I would make a career out of it? He said, anyway, so then another guy said, I'm so sorry. This is a guy up, the one in where I'm going to go to the reunion. I'm so sorry about Ed. He was a surprise friend to me. We went to different grade schools, but we never really talked to each other. During the summer of '68, before we started our junior year, we worked at the annual corn packing. We were pretty shy, but still managed to become friends. I always have fond memories when I think of Ed, and was happy for him when I found out that he had met his soulmate. I look forward to seeing you at the reunion. This one is from his boss, former boss, Bill Coleman. Hi, Aganaze. I'm so sorry to hear about Ed. He's a good friend and a great person. Going to miss him very much. Couldn't believe it when I got the news of his passing. I moved to Oregon. I can't make it down. But he said, I want to thank you for thinking of me, about me. Ed will always have a place in my heart. I think about him all the time. Stay safe, my friend. Thank you, Bill. And then I asked him if I could read this, and he said, I'd be honored if you read my text at Ed's celebration. And yes, stay in touch. A cousin in Ohio, this was how she decided to honor Ed. Dear Agnes, I'm so sorry to hear of the loss of Ed, your beloved life partner. I will keep the news of Ed's passing confidential, as you have requested. I remembered when you were visiting in Ohio years ago, you were at my cottage by the lake, that's Lake Erie, and you said you were yearning for a loving life partner. Eventually, your wish came true. It became your reality. I was fairly certain that the magnificence of your relationship would become fully experienced in all its glory before his passing from his life. In honor of Ed, I will keep track of the first dandelion that blossoms in the yard this spring. And when its flowering has been completed, I will pick the dandelion up and wave it through the breeze, watching the delicate seeds to spread to create new life. And then she has a quote, when I am no longer, the wind will continue being. Very true. So now, this is kind of the hard part here, but I hope you guys will bear with me. Not everybody knew exactly what happened to Ed until actually the beginning of September, when he went into his coma. So he has a seizure. You know, I see him looking kind of funny on June 30th. He's responding to me kind of strangely, and then all of a sudden he started twitching. Well, he was mad at me because he didn't want to go to the ER, but we had to get him there. They did take an MRI. They just found inflammation and sent him home with seizure meds. I really think they probably should have seen something at that point, but then don't get me started. So exactly a month later, July 30th, I'm coming home from a haircut, and I'm telling him, because now he can't drive anymore. And I'm like, okay, I'm picking you up. Well, I thought that he didn't sound right. So, oh boy, here we go again. So, yeah, that was one of the worst days of my life with him. He did not want to go. So I thought I'll sneak him over to the hospital and eat lunch. And then I can sneak him into the ER. Oh no. He yelled at me. He told me he hated me, don't come home. I want to live my own life. But then he was standing in the sun, just like when he was going to walk home. And I was trying to follow him in the car without him seeing me, but he would just stand there in the sun. And I thought something is very wrong. He needs to get to the hospital. The paramedics said, sorry, we can't take him, we can't force him. I'm like, but I'm his power of attorney, and I was holding up my form. No, sorry. So, oh gosh. So finally, he started twitching, and then we got him back. But it was a very stressful day for me to try to get him there, but we did get him there. That's when they finally found the deadliest form of a tumor called a glioblastoma multiforme. The scary thing about that type of tumor, it's not just like a round little tumor. It grows into the brain. And it's very hard for a neurosurgeon to actually get that all out without injuring parts of the brain. So that's what Ed faced. August 6th, he had his surgery. And he was sent to a facility 3 days later, which he almost died in. I had to get him out. I'm just grateful I got him out, but when I saw him went into the ER, he was running around the room like a little deer that had a rifle pointed to his head. I was so grateful that we saved his life, because that place was, it was not good. So the people at West Hills Hospital agreed to keep him until he recovered, and that I would choose a different place. He recovered enough. He went to an acute rehab, which we really liked. And he was able to recover. See, the left side of his body was affected. He couldn't really use much of it. So he had to be very careful about how he walked. Even his eye, he had to turn. He couldn't, in fact, he would bump things, and I'd say, okay, I'd remember to turn, because that's the only way he would see from his right eye. So things have really, from the surgeries, that's exactly what they warned us about, was, that. So he was losing some of his quality of life. When we went to the neurosurgeon afterwards, the follow-up, he gives him the death sentence, of what I call the death sentence, so how long you have to live. So Ed says to me, let's get out and really live if I don't have much longer. And I said, well, yeah, sure, let's do that. So we started making plans. Okay, 3 days later, Ed falls on the kitchen floor. And I go, oh my God. Okay, so we get him to the ER, the ICU. He had seizures that would not stop. They rallied all of the neurologists They even got their seizure specialist. They did everything they could to stop this group of seizures that were just nonstop. So there he was. They finally determined that they had to put him in an induced coma. That was the only way that was going to stop him. So there he was on a respirator. There he was with a feeding tube in his nose. And at that point, you could feel the tension of, was he going to survive? You know, you could just feel that among everybody in there. So, oh gosh. Well, one of the nuns in my sister's order is now going to become a saint. She will be canonized in the Catholic Church. But at that time, they were waiting for another miracle, so we were hoping Ed would be the second miracle. So we had one of the nuns come up and bring a, what do you call it, a relic to put on his head, and we got the permission, but we had to be very careful because he had all these electrodes on his head. And he was just hooked up to all these. It was really quite something to see what he was hooked up to. So we thought hopefully we'll have that miracle. And of course we had everybody, I mean, Trader Joe's, wherever we were, people were praying for him. They were asking for the miracle. Our neighbors were doing it, asking for the miracle. We wanted that full recovery for him. That's what we wanted. And all the medical staffs and all the facility staffs and everybody else, that's what they wanted. And they worked diligently for that, diligently for it. So after a while, you have to come off a respirator. You cannot stay on it. So they gave me the choice of letting him go or getting a trach and, you know, feeding tube here on the stomach. So I basically, pretty much from the time he had his seizure on, and not that I don't do this as a rule anyway in my life, but I had to be so connected to my divine creator. And I mean, I'm my source, and to Ed's high self, and to mine. I'd be so connected to that because yes, I get medical expertise and yes, this, but I had to know what was the transcendent truth that was really going on. What was I needing to do as, yes, power of attorney, but also for, you know, there's always a transcendence going on. There's always a right order going on, but it's hard for us to see, especially in difficult circumstances. It's very hard. We don't want it. We want to fight it. We want to fight God, basically. You know, sorry, I want this. Well, what do you do? So, then I felt Ed's energy one day, and I said, I thought, okay, that means he's good to go. It was like he wants to stay. So yes, he got the trach, he got the feeding tube, but he was still in a coma, and they took him. I chose Barlow Respiratory. Now Barlow Respiratory is located in Valley Presbyterian Hospital over in Aganaze. It's a separate little hospital, but their expertise is weaning people off of trachs. So luckily Ed was breathing pretty well, and he really made it through the breathing part just fine. The big challenge was to get him out of the coma safely so he didn't get the seizures back. So now that was September 9th or so that he first had that serious seizures, and then he ended up October 8th over in Valley Presbyterian, the Barlow. What was amazing is that the flight pattern, actually, the same planes that would come around our condo were going right over Valley Presbyterian Hospital, but lower, because they were getting close to Burbank to land. And I thought, this is very interesting that we would be in the same flight path. You know, here they are. So I had to, anyway, so what happened there was they had a really diligent group of people also that were physical, occupational, and speech therapists. So actually they started the physical therapy on him even though he was in the coma. They just did certain things to move him. They showed me how to do it too. When they finally got him out of the coma, it was interesting because Ed didn't know, of course, where he was. So he says, you know, I tell him, you're at Barlow Respiratory. Ed says very weakly to me, I know about Barlow. I used to park my car there to go to Dodger Stadium. Well, that's the original Barlow. So yes, that's correct. He remembered that. And now he's coming out of a coma, but look at how clear he was right away. So anyway, so I was really grateful though to know that he was that cognitive coming out. So that gave me some happiness. But now he was very weak. And yes, they gave him the therapy. So we were all hoping and things were going along, but all of a sudden, he was leaning to one side, and people thought he had had a stroke, but actually the tumor had grown back. And it had taken, it was so large that it had pushed his brain over to the side of his skull. So that was the, at that point, it was hospice. So I was grateful that he could be in West Hills Hospice, was down the street. I thank God for that. I was there with him. February 2nd, I was looking at the clock because I thought, okay, we're going into February 3rd. That's a very special day for me. And it was interesting too, because what happened was very different. February 3rd, 82 years ago, a German sub torpedoed a ship that my father was on a secret Allied mission. And that ship was torpedoed just before safe waters off the coast of Greenland, because they were supposed to be installing a secret radar installation site with the permission of Denmark. Well, they never made it. And that ship went down in 25 minutes. They couldn't even get the lifeboats, So my dad, there was one lifeboat, there were two lifeboats. He dove off. He had been a lifeguard on Lake Erie, but he dove off and he put his arm over and he just would tread water. And 8 hours in 36-degree water is what my father survived. And he was the last enlisted man they found alive. And so when they picked him up, and his legs were frozen, a couple things, but he did recover. But the reason that was so amazing to me was that Ed actually chose that as his day to pass away. Well, actually, and I actually could see my father in my mind's eye kind of on the other side of the bed looking at Ed, when I was trying to sleep. So, yes, Ed did pass away that day. I did see his last breaths. I was grateful. I remember going, seeing him out through where they put him in the car. But I came home and I just thought, what just happened? I thought, he's not even here anymore. And we all had this vision. But I knew that the phoenix would find a way to poke herself out of the devastation, and that I would be continued guided every day. Throughout the journey, everybody wanted the miracle. But Ed started to give me messages. I know that sounds woo. I know it sounds like you need to get the white coats for me, but people are experiencing the things I'm experiencing. Ed's message to me was, I can do more now where I am. But this is a man who did not believe in the afterlife in that lifetime. It's like, he's like, oh, well. So, yeah, he didn't. He told me, I just believe that we die and we're in people's memories. So, wow. So now he knows what's going on. He actually has helped my sister from someone that was coming through a red light when they were supposed to go in the intersection. He flew as a bird. She saw his eyes in the bird, and she said, oh God. And then she realized that that's going to save them from going in the intersection. He has been communicating with me. I'm very grateful. So I do have, the relationship continues. In fact, that nun who was becoming the saint, I asked her but I was sure I knew the answer. I said, so Sister Saint Maria Troncati, where is the miracle? And her answer was, it's ongoing with you and Ed. Ed's not going anywhere. He's my soulmate. He's my angel. We're together for the rest of my life, rest of his existence and beyond. So let's see, what did I have here? Okay, there's a picture of, that was in Barlow. And that was our Christmas card to everybody. This is what we sent to everybody via email, because that's the best we could do. And you can see he's, kind of hooked up there, but we also sent it to the facilities to thank them for what they did, all their diligence. But there he is. That's us. This is a picture of my sister and I in Avon, Ohio. Now those are the, oh, by the way, on that ship, there were 4 chaplains. Every year the veterans on February 3rd celebrate 4 chaplains night. And there were 4 chaplains on board. One was Catholic, one was Jewish, 2 other Protestant ones. And they hooked arms and were singing and praying as the ship went down to encourage everyone else. They gave up their life jackets, and so did mine, because you couldn't even get them fast enough. You couldn't even get to the lifeboats free. They were frozen, and it was a mess. Out of 900 and some people, only 200 and some survived. So and it's a hush-hush because it was a secret mission. But anyway, that's us there, and Ed took that picture of us. Now, this is a beautiful picture of the scattering of Ed's ashes. He wanted them from a plane, an airplane. So they will be giving me a video, but because they couldn't, that was going to be after the service, they sent me a still picture. It was over Paradise Cove in Malibu. So it's really magical to actually be in that plane, and actually they give you a monitor, and you have to look really quickly, because first you're the one that has to pull the handle, and then you have to look very quickly to see that go. But now Ed's ashes are going all through the world with the waters with the divine waters, and that's what he wanted. He used to tell me that when we get advertisements for that. But we just got to meet people where they're at. Anyway, I do want to say a thank you to, oopsie, not yet, to Ed. Thank you, Angel Ed, for opening your heart, your home, and your life to me almost 14 years ago, and for the privilege of sharing 13.5 years with me as my beloved soulmate, my life partner, my brother, my best friend, and so much more. You are now my angel, my GPS, my God positioning system, and my guide. I miss your joyful humor, our inseparable companionship, everything we did and enjoyed, your warm hugs and kisses, and so much more. I love you, my precious Eddie. I hold you to my heart forever, as I know you do with me. Soulmates do not part, and now we get to get out and really live. And we are. I promised him that we would live. Get out and really live. I'm going to do all the things that he wanted to do. He's going to do them with me. This is something that my sister sent in a card for St. Patrick's Day. And I really do want to read it. She says, Lord, you have brought Ed's wonderful presence in our lives full circle. Every detail was and is blessing. And Ed has and is blessing our lives with the dignity with which he lived his. After such a Calvary these past 7 months, may he eternally rest in peace with you Grant peace of heart to my dear sister who so faithfully accompanied Ed through their mutual journey. Continue to shower her with the light and graces she needs to accomplish tasks. Console her in her grief and protect her. And I want to end with something that's a lot of fun that people have really enjoyed viewing. And then I do have some announcements before we head over. Okay. So Ed and I, so Ed retired, and that was one of the best times of his life, he would tell everybody. So a month after he retired, he decided we were going to go to Channel Islands Harbor and watch the fireworks at Fort Wainini Harbor. So this is, a lot of people from the hospitals have viewed this because Ed was laying in a bed. They didn't get to see what he was like, and they wanted to see it. So here it is. This will be almost the end of today, just to have a fun little note here. Well, here we are at Channel Islands Harbor for 4th of July. Right now, a boat parade is going on with the boats with decorations on for patriotism. Hi, that's Ed in the background. Of course. And tonight, we are going to be on our balcony watching the fireworks that are being shot off from Fort Wainini base. So we are having a really cool, fun time. And we're at the Hampton Hotel, and what more can I say? So happy 4th, everybody. God bless America, and let us just be all love.
Hooray!
Peace and love for all that is. Amen. Alleluia. So thank you very much. I know that the last part, I had a lot of, I can just say thank you to God for the divine right order of things. We want answers. We don't always like what's happening, but ultimately there is a right order, and Ed obviously is very participating in this now. Yeah, hi Keith, everything okay? This is Keith. Keith is the events coordinator outreach for this place. Thank you, Keith. Okay, all right. And because we're getting towards the end, I do have some announcements that I have to make because the reception hall is over there, and the people here have made the luncheon for us. So if you want to give a donation in Ed's honor to the Boys Town, I know they would really appreciate it because they did mention that to me. Because it is a place where it's really needed for these young men. And thanks to everybody. Bless all of you. I hope that it was something that you enjoyed, didn't fall asleep to, or anything. But that was it. That's our presentation for Ed today to honor him. And enjoy the food over there. So I'll see you over there after I pack up. Okay. Take care, you guys.
With love and respect.